Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! In my life, I have studied the greater appreciation behind fairy tale classics such as Sleeping Beauty, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, whatever fairy tale you're thinking about, I've studied, and I've came away from the study of folk literature with a greater appreciation for every fairy tale I had the honor of reading many versions of, which is why I'm really proud that Descendants has brought back the Alice in Wonderland characters and made them so revered. Princess Red trying to find her place in history. That was a beautiful way to introduce us to this franchise and how powerful of a character she would go on to be, achieving far more goals and dreams than her mother ever wanted her to aspire to be, which is something I give the writers and producers of The Rise of Red a profound amount of credit for, along with inspiring us to be kinder people through the portrayal of the character Bridget, done by Ruby Rose Turner. Ruby Rose Turner is a beautiful person who I will dearly miss being a part of Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland. For the life of me, I don't know how they produced Descendants 5 without Ruby Rose Turner. I guess that's something I'm going to have to learn to live with Pink coming in, of course, being played by Liamani Segura, who is going to present a lot of conflict and a lot of quarrels between herself and Red as one of the consequences of time travel. Now going back and altering the fabric of time will be learned by Red and Chloe in this movie. Was it really all they could have ever imagined it to have been? I think there's going to be a lot of conflict. There's going to be a new powerful villain around the time that the Kingdom Cup Games makes their way to Auradon, with all these new characters traveling from afar to compete in the Kingdom Cup Games, which opens up the door for more characters than ever before to be introduced to us within this franchise. I'm expecting a lot of criticism to be thrown the way of Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland, but even though we're going to be faced with a lot of criticism, I think the overflowing of love and support from the fans of Descendants and Zombies, with over 600,000 of you guys existing on YouTube and over 10 million of you across all social media platforms, that will outshine any amount of criticism that Descendants 5 faces. But I give you my word that as long as people criticize Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland, which is bound to happen, I will forever and always be here supporting Descendants and Zombies for you guys, uploading videos about Descendants and Zombies for the foreseeable future. Because you took something that started as a whisper and you made it an explosion on YouTube, because thousands of people subscribed to this YouTube channel when I least expected it to, and with a little bit of heart and kindness that you put behind hitting the like button, and as many times as you subscribe to this YouTube channel, you took something that was started as a whisper and turned it into something so special, and I can't thank you enough for that. So to show my appreciation for each and every one of you, I will be here every single day, even if that means for the rest of my life, talking about your favorite Descendants characters from the past and the present, because we can't forget about the impact that stars of the past made on all of our lives and have had on our lives for what feels like forever. You know, it's really hard to believe that it's been 10 years since Descendants first premiered, and I remember the night of that premiere, and I remember after having studied folk literature for all of my life, how much of an appreciation I came away from the study of folk literature with a greater appreciation for all of these characters that sometimes have been forgotten about. Characters from Beauty and the Beast, characters from Alice in Wonderland, you name it, and I've known about it, and I've read many versions of these tales for forever, which is why I think I have a greater appreciation and kind of break down these franchises a little bit better than some people can, because while people will always suggest to you that they're running out of supernatural characters for, say, the Zombies franchise or fairy tale characters to see their introduction into the Descendants franchise, this is the opportunity that the Kingdom Cup Games will finally present to the characters of Descendants, more characters than ever before. I myself would love to partake in the Kingdom Cup Games because I think I could offer a lot of creative energy and a lot of action to these scenes, which I think this is a really cool time to be a fan of Descendants and Zombies, because now we're seeing more action than ever before. I think going into every Zombies movie, we expect a lot of fight scenes, we expect a lot of action, stuff blowing up, but I think more than ever before it presents kind of like a Hercules Meg kind of thing, where Hercules always swoops in from out of nowhere on Pegasus and saves Meg from obscurity and Hades. So I think that we're going to see a lot of Hercules type action scenes where perhaps Titans become involved with the Descendants franchise. A lot of more magical things will happen for us to experience, and I think that Red and Chloe are really going to discover what their friendship really means, because it could present a lot of conflict within their friendship for the very first time ever. Because if you remember back to The Rise of Red, just a couple of summers back, the focus of the Descendants Rise of Red franchise was Red and Chloe really finding their place in Auradon and finding their place in each other's hearts. And eventually they did, because they helped each other out of some of the most bizarre circumstances of all time, while meeting so many wonderful characters such as Bridget, who inspired us all to be kinder to each other. And I think some of us took something very unique away from Descendants, because many of us felt inspired to be kinder to many people that we necessarily weren't showing kindness to. I know that Bridget inspired me to be a kinder person, and Descendants really changed my life for the better because it gave me the honor of meeting each and every one of you and allowing me the opportunity to share with you my thoughts on Descendants and zombies, which is something that I can't live without anymore. Which is why I'm really excited about next summer, because there's going to be a lot of conversation about Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland. I venture to say that a lot of people are going to be uploading videos about Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland, and we're bound to encounter a lot of criticism. But as I just told you guys, if I have to stand in front of every critic and take bullets for every single fan of Descendants and Zombies, I see no issues with that, because especially after the success of Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires, I thought Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires was a beautiful movie. And it had one of the most powerful scripts of all time, really putting on display how much a friendship is valued in this lifetime. I've often believed that if you have one really good friend in this lifetime that you hold on to for your entire life, then you've got something to be thankful for and something really special to hold on to. And that's what Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires taught us all, the value of friendship and how one can find true love even when they least expect it, which is why I give the writers and producers a profound amount of respect and credit for bringing Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires to life in a way that nobody ever thought it would. And of course, Meg Donnelly and Milo Manheim being executive producers for the Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires movie really benefited it, and I look forward to them being behind the camera for Zombies 5. You know, it's really hard to believe that Zombies 5 won't be happening for at least another 5 years. But even though it's 5 years away, I think it presents an opportunity for a lot of conversation and a lot of predictions to be made. And I'm expecting a lot of predictions as to what's inside of this vortex as the setup of Zombies 5. I'm sure people are still making predictions early on about what's inside of this vortex. People have even suggested witches being inside of the vortex, mermaids, pirates. I've loved stories about pirates too. I was a really big fan of Pirates of the Caribbean many years ago. I remember The Black Pearl. I know that was the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie of a 5-movie set series. But it really set up for what Pirates of the Caribbean was going to mean for us for many years to come. And many moons later, after Dead Men Don't Tell No Tales was the final movie of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, I think that Pirates of the Caribbean has still remained one of the most revered franchises of all time. And I think Disney's really been looking for something to follow in the footsteps of the profound success of Pirates of the Caribbean, because you think about all the merch that was sold for it, how revered the characters became. Elizabeth Swann, a beautiful character. I really, really loved all the characters of the Pirates of the Caribbean, and of course Davy Jones and their travels to Davy Jones' locker, discovering the mystery behind that, and how much of a revered franchise this became. So I think Disney's really been looking for an answer to kind of follow in the footsteps of the Pirates of the Caribbean, and I think with this being a live-action franchise, it presents more of an opportunity than ever before to see a lot of action scenes brought forth for it, and I'm really intrigued by this because I was forever and always a big fan of Pirates of the Caribbean. Come to think of it, I would go for any characters being a part of the Descendants franchise because of just how revered this franchise has a chance of becoming. Because I've been a big fan of every Disney character that you can think of, even the characters from Frozen, which I even think there's a chance that Red and Chloe could see themselves going to, Arendelle and discovering the mystery behind the Frozen characters like Olaf and Elsa and Anna. I would love to see something like that done, because I think that there's a chance for anything happening, and I think that the critics are just trying to take away our hopes and dreams of anything ever happening for the Descendants franchise. I really do, because there's a lot of jealousy that exists in the hearts of all of these critics, and I've just kind of wanted to take that away from you guys, because you see the success of the Worlds Collide Tour, and it was something really special. It was something really extraordinary that I think everybody took something away from it. I loved seeing the zombies performing on stage with all the Descendant stars, how they really brought it to life in a way that nobody ever thought it would be brought to life. I know a lot of people came away from the Worlds Collide Tour upset, perhaps more upset than they anticipated to come away from it being, because of the quality of the merchandise, how the questions had to be presented hours before the Q&A sessions. But I mean, what did you expect? Disney wanted to do it as professional as they possibly could, and I think this was one of the best concert performances that they ever put off. You think about the concert performances of High School Musical and Hannah Montana many years ago, and I think that the concert performances, as spectacular as they were, this had to have been the most spectacular because of how not only the fans were caught up within the moment, but the stars of the franchise were caught up within the moment. It was unbelievable seeing the response that the fans gave to this franchise and how the stars responded back equally with so much emotion. I remember the performance of Freya Sky, which is something that I can never seem to get out of my mind, and how emotionally connected she was to the performance. Every single moment that she was on stage, every single night she was in in the best way that she possibly could, and I think that she will go down in history for being one of the most revered stars of the Zombies franchise and really of Disney's history because of it. You know, the interesting thing was, I was reading down through the comments of one of the Gold Is Gone music videos, one of the many versions of it, a couple of days ago on Vivo, and I noticed that everybody was predicting that Freya Sky was going to be the next Disney pop star. And that really said a lot. That really showed that you guys had confidence in Freya Sky, which is something that I hope you maintain for the foreseeable future, because she's going to be something special. I've made the prediction that she's going to be the next Taylor Swift or the next Ariana Grande, and I may be just saying that because I'm a big fan of Ariana Grande, but I think that if we hold on to the belief that she's going to be something special, she really is going to be something special. I mean, every song from Fake It to now Gold's Gone is a beautiful song, and I really appreciate how they not only introduced us to the Nova character, but they also introduced us to characters such as Kylie Cantrell and Freya Sky, the real-life individuals that they were, and they allowed them to perform songs off their EPs, which was absolutely incredible, especially off the profound success that Kylie Cantrell has received for her EP and songs like Goodie Bag, Denim, and See You Tonight, which is revered on the Billboard charts and on Vivo, getting millions of downloads. It's unbelievable, the numbers that Freya Sky is putting up. Over 500,000 subscribers on her YouTube channel. I couldn't believe that when I read that statistic, and Kylie Cantrell has just as many. I think Dove Cameron has like 2 million subscribers on her YouTube channel too, so I think these characters are really doing a fabulous job carrying on both franchises, which is something that was anticipated by fans, which is why I give you fans a tremendous amount of credit for showing the respect that you have to these franchises, because while the critics will always try to take away your hopes and dreams for Descendants of Zombies, you guys have tried to keep it forever and always intact, which means you've always believed in this franchise. You've always held on to a dream, which is what Freya Sky, Kylie Cantrell have always inspired you to do. I go back to the opening moments of the first Worlds Collide tour in San Diego, California a number of months ago, and Kylie Cantrell opened up the show with "A Dream Could Happen for Anybody," and at that moment, I knew it was going to be something special. I knew it was going to be a concert experience that you guys were going to wish would last forever. Because I've often encouraged you on this show, one of my famous quotes is that a dream can happen for anybody. And it gave me some confidence that perhaps Kylie Cantrell may watch these videos herself and may draw inspiration from these videos. One can only hope, depending on the reach of these videos, which I know have had an incredible reach because so many wonderful people have subscribed to this YouTube channel who are fans of Descendants of Zombies and hold on to the same beliefs that I do, that Descendants 5 with Wonderland will happen, Zombies 5 will eventually happen, even though I know 5 years seems like forever away for Zombies 5's premiere. But even though 5 years seems like forever away, it does not mean that we can't get there, and we can't get there together, because if Zombies 5 is going to happen, there is no better group of people and individuals that I would want to be surrounded by reviewing this thing than with each and every one of you. I say this because the Descendants of Zombies universe is incredibly supportive. You guys have forever and always been supportive of me and my vision for the franchise, what places I've wanted to take it, how I've wanted to discuss it. I know I've created a lot of crazy videos of my theories and predictions, more recently as of late about Descendants of Zombies and the direction I think they're going to take the plot in, everything from Red having a sister as one of the consequences of time travel, and the confliction that it will present to the music. I reviewed my favorite moments, how I believe that that kiss between Zed and Addison at the conclusion of Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires was a moment that we were waiting on for forever. We have these moments in our lifetime that we're waiting on for forever. Ourselves have envisioned us meeting that one person that we could spend the rest of our lives with, and Zed and Addison really put that on display by Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires. Everything they built up in the Zombies franchise from previous installments of the franchise have led them to this moment, and it's something that I forever and always held on to. It's something I forever and always believed in, and it's something that I will never ever forget. Having the opportunity last summer to review Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires was one of the greatest honors of my life, which is why I think that you guys deserve way better videos about Descendants of Zombies for a very long time. I will forever say that, and I will forever hold on to that, just as we've all held on to a dream of Descendants of Zombies lasting for forever. I say this because if there were any two franchises that we would have wanted to last for forever, it would have been Descendants of Zombies, which is why I will forever present the argument that if Miley Cyrus can stand on a stage and accept the award for being the youngest Disney legend in history, so too can your favorite stars of Descendants of Zombies in both respective casts can be honored at an upcoming D23 Expo, which is something I'm looking forward to for the foreseeable future. Because you discussed the success of stars like Hannah Montana and Hilary Duff many years ago, teen idols, without a doubt, personified, and they went really further than a lot of people thought they would. And I think the Hannah Montana TV series exploded in popularity when people least expected that it would. But the cool thing is about Descendants of Zombies is they have more of a chance than ever before to become the most revered franchise franchises of all time and some of the most successful. While it will be argued that High School Musical still holds the record for 17.5 million viewership, I think that Descendants of Zombies is a close second to that, and eventually will ascend to the top of the Disney Billboard charts for the music, and ascend to the top for the powerful scripts that they presented to be the most revered franchises of all time. And I think that 20 years from now, people are still going to be talking about Descendants of Zombies. I mean, you just think about it like this. It's been 10 years since Descendants of Zombies first premiered, and I know 10 years seems like forever ago, but it's still being talked about. It's been a decade since Descendants first premiered, and that is truly unbelievable. That's unprecedented. That's unlike anything I've ever experienced in all my years of being a Disney fan. And no matter what franchise you're talking about, I was a fan of it. I was a fan of High School Musical. I was a fan of Hannah Montana. I was one of the biggest fans ever of Wizards and Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. I was a huge fan of the animated TV series like Kim Possible, which was one of the most revered animated TV series of the thousands. No matter what franchise you're talking about, Frozen, Brave, I was a huge fan of everything with Disney. I spoke on here earlier how I had a greater appreciation for folk literature, and I had studied it all my lifetime in high school. And you don't really have a greater appreciation for fairy tales until you've taken the liberty of actually studying folk literature, because there's a greater appreciation for some characters that are often forgotten about. Like, for the life of me, I don't know why the Alice character has not found her way into Auradon, has not found her way into the Descendants franchise. So again, that leaves the door widely open, more widely open than ever before, to have more characters than ever before discussed within these franchises. I would love to see Alice presenting some conflict to Red, probably be an adversary to Red. Hey, that could be our villain that we could be talking about for Descendants 5 with Wonderland. How about Alice not really agreeing with Red and Chloe's vision for Auradon as one of the consequences of time travel? Alice has never had a problem with Red and Chloe up until perhaps now. And with Red's sister coming into the mix to present a lot of conflict, I think this makes for a really exciting plot for Descendants 5 with Wonderland. You know, I will forever and always be supportive of Ruby finding her way back into the franchise. I think going back in time and saving Ruby Rose Turner's character Bridget from obscurity is a story in its own right, just as Mel, Evie, Jay, and Carlos going off to distant lands to, you know, spread the message of Auradon at the conclusion of Descendants 3 would have been a movie in its own right. I think that would have been an interesting prologue to set up for the next movie. And again, you know, I will forever campaign for Disney turning Auradon into a TV series like they did, you know, many adaptations years ago of Merlin and different series like that based off The Sword and the Stone. So I think there are, you know, so many opportunities to create with Descendants of Zombies, and I don't think we have to say goodbye just yet, because I've always believed that these stories are far from over, seeing their completion, and I think more reviews should be compiled about Descendants of Zombies in a more positive direction. I think that if you're talking about Descendants of Zombies, what you've got to do is you've got to steer the conversations in a positive direction. And I think if you steered the conversation in a more positive direction, people would run away with more to believe in about Descendants of Zombies. Because if you have a dream of Descendants of Zombies lasting for forever, then that's a dream that I think many of us would choose never to wake up from. Like I've often said here on this show, that with all the subscribers and all the attention this YouTube channel has been garnering in the last year, if this is a dream, it's a dream I certainly hope that I never wake up from. Because no matter if you're talking about the Descendants or the Zombie script, both scripts were beautiful. From how Zed and Addison realized they wanted to spend every moment of their lives together. How Victor and Nova were first introduced to us after having seen each other in their dreams, which I thought was a very powerful way of introducing us to two characters that have that much further to go and that much more of a story yet to be told, despite all the conflict and all the controversy they have yet to encounter, because they are going to see their fair share of, conflict and things they have to encounter to protect Seabrook and their lineage. So I think that this is going to be a very interesting time for all Zombies fans. So I think that we should hold on to this dream of Descendants of Zombies lasting for just a little while longer. And even if it is 5 years before Zombies 5 happens, well, that will present the opportunity for me to create a lot of conversation about Descendants of Zombies and really find out where we can go from here with conversation. Because I think the conversation about Descendants of Zombies is a never-ending conversation with how many predictions you guys have been making. I know how you feel about many of you being teenagers by the time Zombies 5 happens. But even if you're teenagers, I think it will be a fun time for you being a fan of Descendants of Zombies, because you will remember being a fan of the original Zombies trilogy when you were younger. I mean, some people were introduced to zombies for the first time when they were were 7 years old. They're about 17 years old now, and they're still as big a fan of zombies as they were a decade ago. So it just goes to show, how much of an impact Descendants of Zombies has had on all of our hearts and forever and always will. And by the time Zombies 5 happens, can you imagine how many fans of that franchise we'll have and how much conversation we'll have? It's amazing. Descendants of Zombies has over 10 million fans across all social media platforms, and they know everything there is to know about Descendants of Zombies. That's what's really cool about the fans of Descendants of Zombies. They know everything there is to know, and I think that they show up with a certain pride and passion, which I've always believed existed, for talking about Descendants of Zombies, especially for critics on YouTube, because they often resort to criticizing a franchise simply because they don't know the first thing about Descendants of Zombies. And I've just wanted to be here to provide you guys with the best commentaries and the best analogies about Descendants of Zombies for what feels like forever. Because until you study folk literature, you can't have that greater appreciation for those characters that sometimes are often forgot about, which is why I really appreciate how Disney has really come into its own, showing a greater appreciation, having a greater appreciation for villains. Because 20 years ago, there wasn't that appreciation for villains. Villains were just a character that presented conflict for Alice or conflict for Belle. The emphasis was never given to the villains that's given to it now. I mean, Disney has this really cool board game now called Villainous, which is a card game that has so many different versions of it and so many different villains having found its way into the franchise, where you play the role of a villain. You take on the role of the villain and you try to overcome the consequences of your adversary, say Alice, or the Queen of Hearts, if you play out the game as her. And then we have so much emphasis on villains now because of Descendants too. So I think that it's just incredible how much of a place villains have taken in Disney history, and I think it's the rightful place, because I think sometimes they're overshadowed by the heroes or the heroines in the stories, like Alice and Jasmine and Aladdin and Aurora, and it's just really cool how Descendants has really presented a greater appreciation for all of these villains over many, many years. I know the Queen of Hearts will forever and always be the most annoying villain in the history of Disney villains, and I know a lot of people would probably agree with me on that assumption because of her voice. Just the other night I played Disney Speedstorm. Their new season focuses on Alice in Wonderland characters, and in many of the tracks she had to play as the Queen of Hearts, and she has the classic annoying voice, which many of us have known to become revered, and ultimately gave her distinction of being the most annoying Disney villain because of. And I can only imagine how you guys feel about the Queen of Hearts, but I do really believe that Rita Ora's portrayal of the Queen of Hearts was one of the best that I've ever seen in a very long time. And I think there's nothing wrong with saying that about Rita Ora and Brandy's portrayals of Cinderella and, of course, the Queen of Hearts. But I think that in many years to come, Descendants of Zombies is going to be around for a very long time, and I think we shouldn't shut the door yet on anything being done or accomplished with Descendants of Zombies, because even with how many goals they've accomplished, there are still so many goals left for them to accomplish, which is something I'm really excited about. And I'm just really excited to be a part of this history that you guys have allowed me to be a part of. Because when I uploaded my very first video about Descendants of Zombies, I had no idea this YouTube channel was going to explode in popularity the way that it has. I had no idea this YouTube channel was going to receive so many rave reviews like it has. And I just want to say thank you so much from my heart to yours for having made this YouTube channel as revered as it is. I know I post a lot of crazy videos with my thoughts and my theories on Descendants of Zombies in them, but I think that never enough good things and enough good reviews have been posted about Descendants of Zombies up until this point, which is why I wish more people would make more of a consistent effort to talk about Descendants of Zombies, because I really do believe, and I will forever and always hold on to the belief, that there's a certain pride and a passion that goes with talking about Descendants of Zombies, no matter how you remember yourself for being a Descendants of Zombies fan for, or what characters you've seen yourself through the eyes of. I really do believe there's a greater appreciation that goes with talking about Descendants of Zombies, and we've been brought closer together. We've become the best of friends through sharing our analogies about Descendants of Zombies, which really has been the greatest honor of my life. And I will forever and always miss Ruby Rose Turner being a part of the Descendants franchise, because I think she had a whole lot to offer to a franchise that she really helped bring to life. You know, representing kindness, how much a profound impact kindness can have on a person's life. I can never give her enough profound thanks, and I know, with a heart and a half, if I had one, I would be missing Ruby Rose Turner for forever and always. As good of a job as Pink is expected to do next summer, I will forever and always miss Ruby Rose Turner being a part of this franchise. So guys, if you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, you're probably going to want to do that, because I have a lot to say where Descendants of Zombies goes for the foreseeable future. This really has been the greatest honor of my life, having the honor to be in your guys' presence and talk about Descendants and Zombies, because I really believe that never enough good things can be said about a franchise that has forever and always held a very special place in all of our hearts. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support you have continuously and seemingly forever showed this YouTube channel. I will be back later on this afternoon with a third video on Descendants and Zombies and my commentary and my thoughts compiled in it. I never prepare anything for these videos, which makes these videos that much more unpredictable, because you never know what I'm going to say or what I'm going to do when it comes to my opinion on Descendants and Zombies. But it's an opinion you can take for its worth. And if you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, you're probably going to want to do that, because there's always a video uploaded about Descendants and Zombies that never fails to surface on this channel. Thank you guys so much for all your love and support. We will talk again in just a few hours from now, because life really is sweeter when all of us are.